What's so cool about manufacturing? We found an outstanding place in Clearfield called PGP, very well known in Clearfield as the ethanol plant. But what many people didn't know is that they are almost 100% green. They use the leftovers from making ethanol to make DDGs.
Don't forget, Ties, they also make CO2, corn syrup, and wet cake.
The process starts with the probe going into the truck or train and sucking up a sample, which is sent to this room and split into 2 samples to be tested for moisture content and any contaminants.
The grades of this corn, 14.9% moisture. Anything over 15 is too wet for us and something that we can discount for.
While this is happening, the truck or train pulls forward into the drop zone.
By the way, 1 bushel of corn is about what fills this red bucket down here. After the corn is dumped, it travels to the silos we're on top of, and after that, it goes to the hammer mills, which you can see in this diagram of the process.
After the corn is powderized, it is put into giant tanks called slurries with other ingredients like yeast and water to start the fermentation process. This is the equivalent of making mash in the moonshine process.
Finally, the mash is distilled and this creates 200 proof alcohol, also known as ethyl alcohol or ethanol, and it lets off carbon dioxide or CO2.
By the way, they now will make even more money and sell the released CO2 to a dry ice manufacturer, which will help the environment.
The environment is also helped by PGP because they purify excess water and put it back into the west branch of the Susquehanna River to further reduce waste.
It can be exciting one day, the next day can be slow, nothing really going on. The day after that, 15 things could break, no corn could come in, a lot of different things could happen. There's some days time that can go on, it's unreal. So the excitement of the job is just being able to do different things every day.
Recap on the process. First, the corn is delivered to the facility. Once the corn is unloaded from the truck or train, it is put onto a conveyor belt, which leads to the hammer mills, which will grind the corn to expose the starch. The starch is then broken down into complex sugars. Starch is broken down into simple sugars and fermented ones to produce heat, CO2, and alcohol.
Alcohol is singled out from the water and spent mash. Then the rest of the water is extracted from 190 proof alcohol, making it 200 proof ethanol. And then once it's tested, the ethanol is loaded onto trucks or rail cars for shipment.
So once the solids are mixed with the syrup and they dry them to make DDGs, they take the liquids and condense them into corn syrup.